Seems like that was a really long time ago, and I need to record it, so. Okay, so you're opening up, you have out your debate notes, and you're opening up the PowerPoint that is on Classroom, please. My board's mad. Okay, so remember, we're going to do the debate because you're ultimately going to be writing your practice PDA, and often it is easier to write after you've discussed a topic, so that make sure that you have all the ideas that you need. So we're going to discuss the topic with the pop-up debate. You've read and annotated your articles, so you should be ready to go with some points that you want to make in the pop-up debate. Remember the rules for pop-up debate, okay? The first person to stand up and speak gets the floor, so it's kind of a race. If you have something you want to say and you want to say it before anybody else says it, you want to be the first one to pop up and stand, okay? You must try to face the audience. We're going to stay at our seats, but try to face the majority of the audience at all times. You can only stand up twice before everybody in the class has stood. So if Hayden has something to say, she says it. She sits down. A couple other people stand up. Hayden wants to stand up again. She says what she wants to say again. But after that, she's done till everybody has spoken. Okay? I don't know if we'll go the whole class period. We'll see. Yeah.
Does everyone only have to speak once or twice?
You have to at least speak once. Okay? Everybody has to at least speak once. Okay?
I'll wait until this dies.
All right. So, and as always, if someone says, I can't hear you, please speak louder. Please make sure that you do increase your volume. Okay? Get your teacher voice on. Project. Okay? Oh, what did I just do? Sorry, guys. Timer. How did I do that? Wow. Okay. So, the next things to remember. Remember PV legs, okay? So you want to be poised. Don't, and this is a habit I have that I need to always get away with, play with my hair, right? You guys probably notice that because I do that all the time. But try not to play with your hair. Try not to use the anything that's distracting to what you're trying to say. Remember, you want the audience, which is your classmates, to focus on what you're saying, okay? Make sure that you're loud. You have correct volume. That's voice. Light is the energy that you bring to it, okay? Do you sound convincing, okay? Eye contact, be trying to look at the people around you. Don't be just looking down. Gestures, you want to use your body, but you don't want to be distracting with your body when you're using the body to speak. And then make sure that your speed is effective. You don't want to go too fast or too slow, because that'll throw off the flow of what you're trying to say, okay? As a listener, you want to remember slant. And I'm going to be looking at both of these, what you're saying and also what you're listening. I want to make sure that you're paying attention during the debate, okay? So you want to sit up, listen, ask and answer questions, or speak when it's your turn to pop up. Nod and take notes. So that's the big thing I'm looking for. Are you adding to your T-charts as you're listening, okay? So you have the basis of T-chart to start with. And if someone says something in the pop-up debate that you're like, yes, I need to add that point, that's a good point because they're making, add it to your T-chart now because you may end up using that in your essay, okay? So that's your notes that you're taking. And then track the speaker. So your guys aren't going to be moving. Like I move a lot, so you would want to watch me as I'm moving, but you want to be making sure that you're focusing on the speaker when they are talking in the pop-up debate. Okay? Remember that you have these sentence frames to help you. Use these, okay? Get in the habit of speaking academically, okay? And these sentence frames will help you. To start, you can say according to, and then you're going to talk about the article or the author of the articles that you read, and then you're going to make your statement. What did you read from that article, okay? And then, in other words, is when you're going to kind of put that information into your own words. What's that author saying, okay? Or you can make I took it down, I forgot. for easy merit. But if you can make a, why did I just blank? Claim evidence reasoning. You can make a reason. Sorry, okay? Claim evidence reasoning. You can come up. That can be the other word. In other words, here you can paraphrase and then give your reason why you thought that was important. Okay? That's really what we're focusing on. We're trying to make sure that we are getting good reasons in our writing. So when we're doing the pop-up debate, we're going to try to verbalize some of our reasons, and then we're going to add that into our writing. Yeah.
Could we do like according to author, then open quote, then single quote, close quote?
Yeah. And you don't. And when you're speaking, you don't have to say open quote. You can just say according to so and so, he states, and then just say what he said. That's fine. Okay. When the next person goes, they're going to paraphrase what the person before them said. This also shows me that you were listening. Okay. So you're going to paraphrase what they said. So Abby basically said whatever she just said, okay? And then you're going to agree or disagree with it, okay? Or you're going to add to it in some way, shape, or form, if you want. That's one way to pop up, is be able to add to what somebody else says, okay? But I want you to paraphrase it first. I'm going to be looking for that in the grade, that you paraphrase so I know that you're listening, okay? You can also frame your, and that's why you have this on your up right now on your Chromebook so that you have these sentence frames in front of you before you speak, okay? So use these. I really liked Abby's point about, I'll add this to it, okay? Or I'll take your point, Hayden, that so-and-so says, still, I think this, and you give more. So blank and blank seem to be, so Hayden and Abby seem to be at odds about whatever the topic is. They may actually not be that far apart, and then elaborate on that, okay? And you don't have to say these word for word, but they're teaching you to teach academically, okay? Or speak academic, excuse me, not teach. Okay? Last one, if you want to change the subject. So if we're just like saying the same thing over and over again, you're like, okay, I need to pop up and change the subject. These are the sentence frames that you would use for that. So far, we've been talking about this, so-and-so, but isn't the real issue here this, okay? Or I'd like to change the subject. You can just straight out say it, okay? And then bring up what you want to say. And last sentence frames, in other words, what I'm trying to get at here is, my point is, and you can be more explicit in a debate than you would be in your writing. So we're obviously in our writing not going to say these things. You don't want to announce, I think, right, in your writing. But in a debate, you can. So in this, you can be explicit when you're discussing. But really focus on what they're saying after they're explicit. Yeah.
When you say I would like to change the subject, and then would you say after you say that, would you say according? Would you go back?
Yes.
To according
Go
to
back to your. Yep. Perfect. Exactly. Okay. All right. So as you're talking, we already did this. You're going to make that T chart. You're gonna have the positive for, or you say it's positive. Technology is positive for relationships, right? And then you have negative for relationships. Okay? And as you're listening, you're going to add to that T chart. And again, that's also something I'm going to be watching. Okay? And then I'm going to be looking to make sure that you paraphrase or put into your own words, which is also an important skill to practice, right? So you're paraphrasing, putting it into your own words, what the previous speaker said. You're going to show me that you have some evidence and logic. That is our reasoning, right? So we want to make sure that you're using your reasoning when you're speaking, and that you're listening attentively by showing me slant. Okay? All right. So, yes.
So, can I go back to the merit real quick?
Sure.
So, you know how you said paraphrasing is good to do?
Mm-hmm.
Will they, if you paraphrase and then you're supposed to have, like, cited, right? Will they
The
know
citation,
you,
yeah.
Will they know you paraphrase and you do that? Or will they just
Yeah.
be like, oh, you didn't quote it, so...
No, they'll know that you paraphrase. You're citing it, so you're giving credit to that. As long as you cite, as long as you had your citation, you're giving credit to the author. Okay?
Because
Yep.
when I was doing it, I was like, what if they don't know? Like,
No, they'll know. They're trained. And if what they'll knock you down for is if you paraphrase and did not give credit to the author. That's where they'll be like, this is exactly what the articles are saying, just in different words. That's not okay. You need to give some of your own insight. Okay? Good question. All right. Ready to pop up debate?
Yo,
Yay! Okay. Alright, so again, we can start with whatever. So we are debating that either yes, technology or cell phones and technology have positive impacts on relationships, or telephones and technology have negative impact on relationships. Is there somebody that wants to pop up to start? Whoever's up first. Oh, Hayden, go. There you go. All right, so we need to listen to Hayden, please. Go ahead.
Okay. Technology has negative impact on human relationships. According to Zeman, 89% of 3,217 people said that they pulled out their phone during their last social event. And 86% said that someone else also pulled out their phone. In other words, people are using their phones to avoid other people in real life. If the majority of people are using their phones to avoid people at social gatherings, then it shows that our phones are actually making us less social. Although people may be using these phones to be talking to people online, they are becoming less intact with the real world, which is more important. When people become less intact with the real world, more people, and more with the online world, they are, according to Rosen, are actually only receiving little bits of connection that you receive from real life interactions. If we don't receive the full connection we get from real life interactions, we are, in fact, becoming less sociable. What I am saying is that when we avoid people using technology, we are losing some of the real life connections that we receive from talking to people.
Okay.
Dang.
People want to respond? All right. All right, back to listening, please. Abby's up.
Hayden basically said that people are spending more time making connections with their phones and who's behind them as opposed to who's in front of them and who's in the real world. Who is like with them in the real world as opposed to their virtual one. So I would like to add to that in that Rosen also says that we spend so much time maintaining superficial connections online that we aren't dedicating enough time or effort to cultivating deeper relationships with each other.
What do you think about that, what the Rosen said,
Oh,
in your own words?
I think that he is correct and that we aren't spending more time with each other and that we're focusing more on technology.
Okay. Pop up, pop up. I think Shelby wants to say something. Pop up, Shelby.
Basically what Abby had said is that people are not spending enough time with each other and they're usually on their phones and stuff. However, sometimes the phones are a matter of stress relieving and actually can build a lot better relationships than having the interaction, because a lot of people can have social anxiety and stuff. And I believe in the Hampton article it says somewhere that it actually supplies them as like a supplement to relationships, because like say that they're like distanced away and stuff and far away, that I can still interact with people, or they can meet new friends and stuff, and they're like can like hide too, so they don't have to have the anxiety and like stress of like trying to talk to somebody, like and with other interactions and stuff.
I'm gonna go with her only because she missed a little bit. She doesn't have as much of an opportunity to.
So most what Shelby said, she said that we could build relationships and it kind of relieves anxiety, but it can also cause anxiety because when
Listen.
our phones go off or we get a notification, we jump to it and like the need to know what's going on in the virtual world. And there's also a study that shows only after 10 minutes without phones, people who use their phones heavily have bad anxiety, and it would continue to increase as time went without their phones.
Jerry this time.
Alright, so basically what she said was that all this technology is creating anxiety with everyone, and everyone wants to check their phones every single time, now and then, whenever it goes off. But I have to disagree with you because in the Hampton article, he states that in studies with his students and collaborators, they have found that the internet and cell phone users, and especially those who use social media, tend to have more diverse and large number close relationships.
Does that mean to you? So give me your thoughts
Oh,
on
okay.
it.
So I believe that that is true because you can create new relationships with other people you would have never met in real life, like in using social media like Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram. You meet new people and you can also learn about their new cultures, which you can also learn about their everyday lives and how it's different from yours, and it just makes you learn more.
So Jerry basically said that it tends to, technology has diverse relationships and you get to build on those relationships and you learn of other cultures and other people. But I have to disagree because from the Werrell article, it was a neutral article, but on some points she said that we rely on technology to communicate more efficiently in an increasing global world, but with that we can't lose touch with our physical community. And what I think is that we need to be authentic and vulnerable, but don't hold the mask of technology. Let yourself be uncomfortable in uncomfortable situations, and we shouldn't replace the human element with technology.
Oh, Diamond's up first.
So, Bree was saying that we shouldn't find a substitute for one-on-one connection, and I would like to add on that and say that in the Rosen article, it says that we need to examine our technology use to ensure that it isn't getting in the way of our being sociable and getting the emotional support we need from people who are closest to us. And to me, talking to someone instead of just texting them what our problems are, it helps us build a better connection with the person, and I know that it leaves like a memorable imprint on us. It's not something that we're just going to forget, and I think that was texting what our problems are, and I'm sure we probably find a lot of stuff that's wrong that doesn't leave something memorable.
He popped up last time, so let's go with him. Sorry.
What I'm saying is that in real world situations, that you'll get more of an emotional attached to a person rather than being online. Because online, when you're talking to somebody, you don't know if it's actually that person or if there's another person behind it. And so to go further into it, on the World article, it's surprisingly, those who report feeling most alone are those who expect it from these young people under 35 who are the most prolific social network users today. So the people that are using online sources as much as they do, they feel alone because they can't get attached to people as much as we can if we're going out and actually socializing and talking face to face and having those memories while they're online trying to just create something that doesn't exist. If they want to know the person is actually that person behind the phone.
So he said basically that in person is a lot more effective rather than online, and I'd like to add on to him and agree to it because in the Rosen article it says that the empathy can be dispensed in the virtual world. It is only 1/16 as effective as so it's not as effective like as the three people said before me. It's like our empathy and what we feel is not there. But in person you get to experience their emotion, you get to see their actual things when basically emojis aren't doing enough.
Jay was up first.
Sorry.
So Cece has said that the connections in real life are way more effective than in virtual reality.
And in Maggie Worrell's article, she mentions a study in the Harvard Business Review, which had stated that their team performance increased by 50% when their team had socialized more and got rid of emails, or limited emails. And it shows that when you are when you actually socialize with who you're around, you can increase.
So I want to go back to pretty much what they all said about the Rosen article, is that being in real life is in fact better. And I also want to point out that a lot of miscommunications happen over text than they do in real life, causing lots of fights and all that. And I want to go back to what Jerry said about you can meet newer people as well to kind of expand your contacts and whatnot. But if personally I have most of you, if not all of you, somehow on text or social media, because there are some people who can balance real life, hanging out in real life and texting without having any anxiety, like Courtney mentioned, or any of that. But it just depends on who you are. If you prefer to just have your phone distract you and all that jazz, then that just depends on who you are, really.
I agree with Leighton, and I'd like to add to what he was saying about how, I'd like to add to him by saying that anxiety does drive this behavior, and that if we didn't have phones at all, or any technology, we probably wouldn't even have this anxiety, and we'd all be able to develop personal connections to each other easier without them in general.
I want to talk about.
You came up so fast. Raise that hand.
Nobody's gonna take my spot. Okay.
That's it. Good job.
Yeah, so you said people miscommunicate a lot, and in the Worrell article, she talks about how people in business, they find their productivity to be substantially better if they communicate in person rather over email. It's sending emails, that just gets, it doesn't get your point across the way you want it to. If you go into someone's office and give them a personal request, they'll probably understand you better, do a better job of getting the job done.
Brandon got it first. But remember that even though you're getting ready to pop up, that you still want to listen to what the other people are saying. Okay, all right, good.
So I want to bring up a new point about how technology has a negative impact on relationships in the status quo because it prioritizes people that have more friends rather than better quality of friends. So Worrell explains in the article that 48% of people say that they only have one main friend compared to a study that was 25 years ago that showed that people had 3. So what we can see by this is people are having less quality of friends and rather, as Jerry said, they're having more expansion of who they friend that work hard. So they're spending less time with individual people and trying to divert, I don't know how to say it, but spend time with more people rather than sticking to the people that they trust and have more better relations. So they have negative relations because they're developing these relations in depth that they could do in the past when technology wasn't a big part of life, I guess.
Let's go. And we're going to go Faith this time because you've already spoken. Sorry.
Okay. So basically what he said is that we used to have more people that we could trust, and now that we have technology, we don't trust as many people. But I would like to go back to what Abby was saying about how now that we have this technology, we have lots of anxiety because of hiding behind it and all that stuff. And I would like to say that in the Hampton article, this quote, what a strange practice it is that a man should sit down to his breakfast table and instead of conversing with his wife and children, hold before his face a sort of screen in which is inscribed a worldwide gossip. These words ring true today as when they were written in 1909. We have been rejecting social interactions for the longest time. We had newspapers
and then we got computers, and now we have screens of cell phones. So even though we have technology that we're connecting with people far across the world with today, we still rejected social interactions in 1909 with different things. We may have more people that we trusted back then, but that doesn't mean that the relationships we have now that we trust people in aren't as important.
I don't want to fight that.
He hasn't talked either. I'm sorry, Hayden. I love the enthusiasm. But I'm trying to make sure everyone gets a chance to talk first. Go ahead.
I agree with Faith and mostly everyone who said that technology has been a negative impact to our society because there has been a fear of missing out between people of our age and how they have to use technology and have to sacrifice their actual physical relationships with their virtual relationships. And yeah, I just agree with that.
Now you can go.
Okay. I'd actually like to go all the way back to what Brandon was saying about how people nowadays get more people rather than focus on stronger connections. And he brought up the study about that was put in the Werrell article. However, in the article, it doesn't show any real evidence on like how many people the study focused on or anything like that. So therefore, I refute that argument because it really didn't show how much, if it was actually pertaining to the whole populace.
So what is that? Just to make a connection to our logos, pathos, and ethos, which one is that less than, that needed more?
It needed more logos.
Logos. Good. Okay. Keep going. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, I was looking at it. So your point was like amazing because I wrote that down on everything. I'm just gonna say that right now. But going back to what Akshay said, like the fear of missing out, it really depends on like I said earlier, who you are. Because when I see you guys like going to like dances and stuff, that makes me want to like go out and join you if I have the time. Like I'm always busy. But like that kind of, for me, it makes me want to like go out and just hang out with everyone rather than just like sit behind a screen. But I admit that having a phone and all that is indeed a distraction, and it kind of prevents people from actually getting up and out of the house. So it just, like I said, it just depends on what you're doing or who you are or what you use your phone for.
So I would have to agree with Layton, and I agree with Faith as well. One of the paragraphs in the Keith Hampton, I think it was, he said that we don't even need a beep or a vibration anymore to distract us, and users under 35 check their phones without even getting like a notification or anything. So I think that we're so like absorbed in our phones, wanting to know what people are doing and wanting to be in the moment with other people. We're just constantly checking our phones so we don't miss anything.
Okay, so I just want to point out one point that Werrell makes, I don't know how to pronounce the last name, but she talks about how people use social media like they use it as a mask, kind of like virtual realities. They like to create this avatar that's perfect, like find the perfect romance, create the perfect body, like whatever, like fulfill their all expectations that they can't find in real life. But like I totally agree with that, and so like what happens when you close down your computer, like how are you gonna face the depressing like expectations that you're not okay, not so depressing, but some people find like if they can't fulfill their expectations in real life, then it can be kind of depressing, so they hide behind their computer in their fake world. So I think it's just making
No, not what you're saying. They're not laughing at you.
I saw.
Okay.
I just feel like it is making us more lonely. Like I totally agree with what Werrell was saying.
I agree with Allie that it makes us more lonely, and in that same article by Werrell, absent other sources of interaction can't compensate for what we're missing in real life.
and it lets us dream, but there's no action, and it's a distraction, and it risks the cost of our real life.
Okay, we only have about 3 more minutes or 4 more minutes, so if you haven't spoken,
I was
now's
into
the
this.
time.
What do you mean?
I would like to agree with going back to what Leighton said, that he was saying that it's important and can help you find out about opportunities to communicate with others if others can, but it can never replace face-to-face communication, and I agree with that because in what I think what Hampton said was that empathy is better in person than through social media.
Okay, so Kaden said that. Okay, so he said that it can't replace face-to-face relationships, but like, what about old ones? Like old relationships back from like when you were maybe in like elementary school and you don't know those people anymore, but technology helps you like keep the relationship with those people. Like that's what Hampton says. Like he says people that were in high school, like they stayed friends because on Facebook or Snapchat, Instagram, they like were able to keep in contact with each other and like make plans and hang out more and like keep that old relationship.
I like to add to Jerry's point about meeting people, diverse people online. I like to add that people are able to express their opinion better than they can in real life to their friends.
Go ahead. A little louder so we can hear.
It sounds like demons definitely how to contact. It says that people still use their phones to avoid people around them because people don't want to talk to anybody because some people do not unclear with being face to face and better being behind the screen. But it's like nobody can really actually connect with people in front of the screen because you don't get that interaction. You get like an artificial interaction because you don't know if that's actually going to be.
Come on, say something. You got some sort of opinion, I'm sure.
Alright, well, in the last 20 minutes I've been watching you especially. So since we're talking about technology,
That's okay. It's okay. It's okay, go ahead.
So that's my point. It's back to the stats that she brought up. You come with the stats.
Okay, good. Alright, so you're gonna keep remember you need to add to your add to your T-chart. What I'd like you to do tonight for homework, please, is start to outline. So at least have an argument paragraph with at least 2 sirs, and then a rebuttal paragraph. If you want to change the format on that, you can. But I would like you to have at least that. So 2 sirs in your argument paragraph, right? Topics in, sir, conclusions, and then a rebuttal paragraph with 2 oppositions, evidence, reasoning, and then another sir. Outline. In your packet, remember outlines, do we need to write complete sentences? Nope. The outlines just need ideas down, okay? Just to give you a place of where you're going, and we'll start writing our rough draft of our body paragraphs tomorrow in class, okay?
I'm gonna add to my teacher.
Okay, yeah, so make sure that your T-charts are completed, and you will get points for that outline. So make sure that your outlines are completed as well. Good? So think about everything that people have said in your outline and in your rough draft. Very good job for our first pop-up debate. You guys did a great job.
I didn't bang my knees on the